Marvel Rivals is one of the games of all time. After the Overwatch devs ruined everything fun about their game...
Does this mean Overwatch is back?
No.
Marvel Games saw an opportunity in the hero shooter market to make an actually good game. Did it work? Well, I mean, only one of these games has Iron Man, so you be the judge. Rivals separates the characters into 3 categories: Vanguard, Duelist, and Strategist. Vanguards are the big beefy boys who want to stay up front, tank all the damage, and initiate a push. Duelists are the most versatile with their kits, as their primary objective is to just deal damage and score kills. Strategists support their team with healing, shields, and other kinds of helpful buffs. Our man of the hour falls under the Duelist category, and as such, he wants to be an annoying little prick in any way he possibly can. In this video, I will teach you how to play Iron Man in the most efficient and most annoying way possible. Take it from someone hard stuck in Platinum. I'm really good at being annoying. Now, the first thing you want to do as Iron Man is lock him in immediately after loading and then request 2 tanks. This will likely make your team hate you right off the bat, but trust me, if your team wants to win, they will comply. Why? Because of this game's unique team-up mechanic. The team-up mechanic is what pushes some characters from good to borderline broken. Each character has at least one, where if another specific ally is on the team, they get access to a stat boost and or an entire new mechanic. For example, Hela acts as the anchor for a team-up with Thor and Loki. As the anchor, Hela gets bonus damage with every move, plus a new mechanic that benefits the other 2 on her team-up. Whenever Hela gets a kill, which will happen very often because she's broken, she grants her team-up buddies bonus health. But if they happen to be dead when she gets a kill, she revives them on the spot. She can turn a losing push into a winning push just for getting a single kill. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Adam Warlock allows Star-Lord and Mantis to respawn anywhere they want. Rocket Raccoon gives Punisher and Winter Soldier infinite ammo with no reload for a limited time. Venom gives Spider-Man this giant symbiote nuke of a move that's completely invincible, and so on and so forth. These team-ups can turn the tide of any given battle in the blink of an eye, which is why you should always build your team around them. With all that being said, this is why requesting 2 tanks as Iron Man is perfectly reasonable, because his team-up requires Hulk and Doctor Strange. Hulk acts as the anchor. Because he's a Vanguard, he gets a good chunk of bonus health once the team-up is activated. As for Iron Man, he gets a huge damage boost. You see, Iron Man has 2 main moves, his Repulsor Blast and his Unibeam. The former is a splash projectile that does good damage, while Unibeam is a thin projectile with shorter range but absolutely shreds health bars. He has a short install mode where he boosts his damage even further, but with Hulk on the same team, this extra mode does, for some reason, even more damage. Stray Repulsor Blast shots become lethal, and Unibeam is a war crime with how fast it kills even the highest health characters. Keep in mind, he gets this boost just by existing on the same team as Hulk. These characters are both already good individually, but they're greatly enhanced once you put the team together. And the cherry on top is Doctor Strange also benefits from this team-up. Like Hulk, Strange happens to be a Vanguard. Hulk is alright on his own, but he really benefits from another tank on his team that can hold down the fort while he takes some more off angles, and Strange does that perfectly. So not only does this trio complement each other mechanically, but their additional team-up bonus practically turns them into an unstoppable force. Now that your team has complied to help make half your comp broken, how do you play Iron Man once you're in the match? Positioning is the most important thing in this game for any character, but it is especially prominent for Iron Man. His mobility and splash damage repulsors allow him to hit opponents from tricky angles where they may not be able to fire back. You're an integral part of pushing the enemy back, because you are completely safe from enemy fire at the right spot. Your boost flight allows you to practically set up anywhere you want, so not only can you push enemies back from the front, but you can also pull them back with a flank. This is a high-risk, high-reward option that, more often than not, will get you killed. You will not get healed from this spot, and you can't rely on your team to save you. But you can rely on them to push. You are a nuisance. You are an annoying little fly in the sky that the enemy team has to focus on, or else their health will slowly get whittled down until there's nothing left. If you can divert some of the enemy's attention from your team to yourself, that's a win. The more enemies that turn around to shoot you, the less there are supporting the tank on the front line, allowing your tank to push more aggressively. Now, here's where that gets a little tricky. If you look at the full roster, you'll see that a large majority of these characters have some kind of fast projectile. The worst of these are characters like Hela and Psylocke, who classify as hit scan. For those unaware, most projectiles in a game like this have a projected travel time. meaning you need to lead your shots to where you think your opponent will be rather than where they already are. For hit-scan characters, this isn't a problem because their projectiles don't have travel time. When they press the shoot button, their shot immediately comes out and goes wherever they're aiming in an instant. These characters are the absolute worst to fight against as Iron Man because you literally can't fight back most of the time. Your long-range projectiles take too long to do any real damage, and your close-range unibeam requires absolute precision for the entirety of the move. If you try aiming at a Psylocke with your unibeam, she will shoot you twice and dash in for a kill before you even get her to half health. And this goes for almost every single duelist that uses a projectile. You will get blown up by them if you're taken off guard. This goes for even some strategists and vanguards as well. Even characters without strong projectile games, like Spider-Man and Iron Fist, will just jump directly at you and you can't do a whole lot about it. So how can you beat these characters head-on when almost all of them directly counter you?
That's the neat thing. You don't.
This may sound like a cop-out, but the key to winning these kinds of fights is making sure they never happen in the first place. And this all has to do with your positioning. You have an entire map you can play around so that you don't have to deal with these characters. Iron Man's strength is forcing you to play his game, but the moment the enemy forces him away from that, he dies. This is the Iron Man dilemma. If you stay far out and abuse your splash damage, you'll get good damage for sure, but very rarely will this kind of playstyle allow you to get an abundance of kills. On the other hand, getting in close to abuse your unibeam damage is very risky, as it turns you into a sitting duck for the enemy team to light up. The way I'm describing it, you may not think Iron Man is even a very good character. And he isn't. When he's on his own, at least. Your main goal as a duelist is to get kills with the least amount of damage possible. If all you're doing is dealing damage and not securing any kills, then that health will just get healed by enemy supports, which feeds into their support ultimates, which will end up saving their entire team and likely win them the push. The main problem you face with Iron Man is that you can deal damage very well, but securing kills is kinda difficult. This is why your team composition is so important. Your splash damage from a distance may not kill, but it will create pressure that forces the enemy team back. This creates space for your own team to push, and more importantly, it sets up your other potential duelists to finish the job. This is definitely the hardest thing about playing Iron Man. If I wasn't on a time limit, I would go more in detail, but that's the gist of it. Stay with your team to create pressure, flank when you need to, play around walls and ceilings for cover, and always make sure you're engaging in fights that are advantageous for you. Rely on your teammates to make big plays and win fights while you help however you can. What, you want to play Iron Man so you could actually win fights on your own? You stupid idiot. You dummy moron. That's what this is for.
Maximum pulse!
The last major piece of information to know when playing Iron Man is your ultimate. Every character has an ultimate meter which fills up as you deal damage and take damage. You can use it once the meter is completely filled. Depending on the character, this can range from a big transformation, a boost of healing and movement for your teammates, or, in Iron Man's case, a nuke.
Take this! Feast your eyes on Super Vegeta's Big Bang Attack!
How about that?
This is one of the most important ultimates in the entire game. Why? Because of them. Mantis, Luna Snow, Invisible Woman, and Cloak and Dagger all have one thing in common as support characters. Their ultimates involve casting a big field of healing on the ground, which makes killing anyone practically impossible. These ultimates define the meta because of the horrible and evil decision for supports to build their ults while they heal. And let me tell you, the amount they get for healing compared to any other character doing damage is absurd. As long as they're constantly healing, they will get these almost every single team fight without fail. If you're playing with competent supports yourself, then they'll also get their ultimates every single team fight. The result of this is nobody dying for up to 30 seconds. No matter how much damage you do, no matter how fast you hit them, they will not die. Every time you hit them, they instantly get healed. So what do? Well, here's the cool thing. Good old Tony here with his humble and fair ultimate does 1000 damage in one hit. For reference, most supports' health range from 250 to 275. You know what that means?
I am ready to put on a show!
Maximum pulse!
In these drawn-out exchanges where both teams are trading support ults and nobody's dying, you have the power in your hands to completely turn the tides and give your team a monstrous advantage. As long as you exist, the enemy team is practically always down one support ult. Now, this doesn't always mean you can get it every time. A lot of the time, you won't even have it when the supports use their ults because you build yours considerably slower. If that's the case, then you can still make big plays to help your team win a fight. But remember, you're not the main character. This whole game isn't about you popping off and getting the biggest play possible. If you can't get an entire team wipe with one ult, then who cares? As long as you're killing someone, then you're getting value. Something I love to do is flank their team and then solo ult their support, which may sound like a meme play, and it kind of is. But by taking out their supports first and foremost, the entire rest of their push will crumble. Just make sure you keep an eye on defensive cooldowns, like shields, dashes, etc. Don't be stupid with it, like this guy for instance. Notice how he flies straight into me while I'm using Mr. Fantastic. Do you know what Mr. Fantastic can do against any attack like this? He can use his absorbing form to take in all the damage and bounce it back at his opponent. So with this guy carelessly flying directly into me while my ability is not on cooldown, what do you think is the only possible outcome of this situation? You hold the power to change the tides of the match in a single button press, either by taking out a support during their ult, or taking some of their team members out before they can even start a push. Use your best judgment to determine what the best play for your team is in the moment, and it might just win you the game. Just don't be stupid. By following this guide, you might just become a semi-decent Iron Man who will get hard stuck in plat like me. Jokes aside, Iron Man can sometimes be a very brain-dead character, and other times he takes all of your brain power to be even slightly effective. But with enough practice, you can get mileage out of him even at the highest ranks. Just please remember to be a team player. Too many games are tragically lost by a DPS going rogue and trying to be cool on their own, when in reality, the coolest thing you can do is help your team.